Hence, this immediate process could lead us into making strategies in parsing to make it simple. So there are multiple parsing strategies that have both theorized and invented by linguists, but this time we'll just be focusing on the garden path model, the minimal attachment, and the late closure. In minimal attachment strategy, incoming words is attached to into the phrases being instructed using fewest nodes possible. Note that nodes are the points in the phrase markers or tree, where this is an example. We see S node, VP node, the NP node, and so on. This is an example of a minimal attachment sentence. The criminal confessed his sins harmed many people. So what difficulties do subjects have when reading these minimal attachment sentences? Minimal attachment leads the reader to adopt the structure containing the fewest possible nodes. So when the reader gets to his sins, the simplest analysis is that his sins would be the object of confessed rather than the subject of the complement clause harmed many people. So the reader initially goes with this analysis until he reaches harmed, which is the disambiguous region, at which point he realized something is wrong and has to backtrack and reanalyze. Eye movement data shows this leap in comprehension when the reader reaches harmed, and longer overall reading time relative to the sentence, the criminal confessed that his sins had harmed many people. The complementizer that prevents the reader ever considering that his sins might be the object of confessed. So the correct analysis would be that his sins is the subject of harmed many people. Next is the late closure strategy. In this strategy, if possible, incoming material should be incorporated into the clause or phrase currently being processed. Here is an example of a late closure sentence. Since Jay always jogs a mile and a half, seems a very short distance to him. Late closure leads the reader to incorporate the new incoming material into the phrase currently being processed if at all possible. Therefore, when the reader gets to the noun phrase a mile and a half, they initially incorporate this into the verb phrase they are currently processing, jogs, rather than treating it as a subject of a new clause. Seems. When the reader reaches this point in the sentence, he realizes something is wrong because seems requires a subject. Therefore, the reader has to backtrack and reanalyze. Here is an evidence to support late closure in the sentence. This difficulty shows up that as a blip on eye movement data when the reader reaches seems, which is the disambiguous region.